What is up everyone, Movie Worm back again with another top 10 video. Today is going to be my top 10 movie scenes that I hate in movies that I love. Now we all have them films that we love, don't we? But there are one or two things that can irk us about them movies. Now I have no idea why this popped into my head, it just did, and I started thinking of a couple of scenes and then I thought, you know what, that'll be a fun top 10 video to make. So if you're a YouTuber watching this and fancy doing your top 10, please do, and leave it in my comments down below, and I'd love to check your video out as well. I just think it could be a very fun discussion, and if you just want to get in the comments and leave your scenes that you hate in movies you love, I would love to hear your opinions as well. You know, I just think it's quite interesting, really. I've never really come across too many of these videos on YouTube, even though there's probably hundreds of them out there, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do this. So let's just get into it now. I do have a couple of honorable mentions, and then I'll get into the top 10. So just 3 honorable mentions, really. I wanted to mention the rape scene in Once Upon a Time in America. You're kind of behind Robert De Niro and his buddies all the way through this, even though they aren't the best of people. But this totally makes me just come away from any attachments I had about him, and it just really detaches me from the character. We also have the Wizard of Oz King of the Forest song that the Lion sings. I love all the music in this movie, but this one, not really for me. I just think it slows the pace down. And we also have the robot in Rocky IV. It didn't make my top 10 because I don't hate it, but it's a very silly and cheesy scene that shouldn't be in it, and I was glad Sylvester Stallone took it out of the director's cut. So let's just get into it now. Number 10. Number 10 is going to be the budgie scene fight from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. This is a film that got slated a little bit back in the day, but horror fans have grew to love and appreciate this. I've always had a soft spot for A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. One of the first horror movies I ever watched, and I love it to this day. But there is no doubt that the budgie fight is one of the worst horror movie moments in horror history, really. It's basically, this cage is rattling because the house is so hot on Elm Street where Jesse and his family are living, and these budgies just decide to kill each other basically in this cage, and one of them kills the other one, and then Jesse's dad is frantically running around the living room trying to chase the other budgie from going crazy. I think it scratches the mother on the face, or the father, one of the characters, as it's flying past with its sharp little foot. And then Jesse's dad just blames Jesse for setting off firecrackers in the living room, making the house hot. And I'm just thinking, as this scene goes on, oh man, this is a Freddy movie. Why the fuck am I watching 2 budgies fighting? It just feels so out of place, and I'm very tempted to fast forward this moment every time I revisit this film, which is very rewatchable to me. But this scene, I just don't like it at all, and I had to put it in there at number 10. Number 9 is going to be the Ed 209 and RoboCop fight from RoboCop from 1987. Now, this is my favorite movie of all time. It's my most watched movie in movie history. I've seen it over 100 times easy. But this scene really just has never clicked with me, and it's far from a perfect movie, mainly because of this. I just does nothing for me, this part. It's just RoboCop and Ed 209 fighting down a bunch of stairs, firing a couple of rockets at RoboCop, and RoboCop's trying to get down the stairs, and then Ed 209 falls down the stairs and cries like a big baby. It's just very silly. It kind of drags as well. I mean, it's constant, like 3-minute scene that is just very repetitive for me, and it is no doubt that this is very dated now with the stop motion on Ed 209. Yeah, I mean, it's just a meh moment for me in a film that is filled with so much entertainment and so much fun. I've heard people on the RoboCop forums and stuff say that this is their favourite scene in the movie. I can't get my head around that, but each to their own. But for me, it's just the worst part of RoboCop, which is an absolute classic. Yeah, but I could do without this scene. So number 9 is the Ed 209 fight in RoboCop. Number 8 is going to be Cheer up, Charlie. Yes, from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. What a great set of songs there are in this movie. Kind of like The Wizard of Oz, where it's got that one song that irks me. This is that one in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yes, it's just a very, very dull and boring and depressing song now, isn't it? I mean, the movie is kind of got Charlie down on his luck at this moment, which I understand, but it's still carrying a very fun vibe to it. With the teacher can't do the multiplications in the mathematics class and stuff. I mean, it's still got that very, that much charm that the rest of the movie's got, even in these early moments. But man, this song is just so fucking shit. It's just Charlie walking down the road while his mum sings "Cheer Up, Charlie," and I don't think she's the greatest singer either. I fast forward this every time I watch it, and I never fast forward movies. I don't, but this, I just can't watch it. I'm just like, okay, get back to the movie now. Yeah, dull, depressing, boring. Just a terrible movie moment, a terrible song choice. Number 7 is going to be Bob's comment about Lindsay's clothes in Halloween. Now, this is one of them moments every time I watch it where I just go, what did he say then? I'm still always surprised that this piece of dialogue is in this movie. So basically, we have, I think her name's Lindsay and Bob, and they're fooling around in the car, they're horny teenagers. And Bob says to Linda,
"First I rip your clothes off.
Don't rip my blouse, it's expensive, idiot.
Then you rip my clothes off. Then we rip Lindsay's clothes off. Yeah, I think I got it."
Yes, he's talking about Lindsay Wallace, who is the 8-year-old kid who's being babysat by Annie. And that guy is a fucking paedophile. I understand this is 1978, but paedophilia is definitely still not accepted back then, and it's just a very, very strange joke, especially if you're trying to get into your girlfriend. And she didn't think it was weird that he said that. I mean, it just takes me out the movie every time. As much as I enjoy Halloween and think it's one of the best horror movies ever, I always just become stumped on this line of dialogue. I'm like, rest of the movie. I mean, it's just, man, what the fuck was going through John Carpenter's mind when he wrote them words down? So yeah, I had to put that in this list. Number 6 is going to be the library scene from 7. Now, I feel like this is a very appreciated scene within movie history. I actually went on YouTube just to watch it again the other day, and people underneath were going, "This is epic, my favourite scene in the movie," and I'm just like, it's basically just Morgan Freeman looking at a few books in the library for 3.5 to 4 minutes straight with classical music on in the background. You can make of it what you will, that David Fincher is intending that Morgan Freeman is just so into his job, into the getting into the case, finding every single detail, and he is, that's what he's doing, but it's just a boring ass scene, man. I mean, it's just him looking at a few books and walking down a few library aisles. It does nothing for me. Now, maybe if I rewatch the movie in full again, because I haven't seen it for a while, it might click with me a little bit, but I remember watching this, and every time I hated it. And even when I watched it on YouTube the other day, it brought back the memories of how boring and dull it was. So number 6 is the library scene from 7. Number 5 is going to be the spider from It. Yes, these kids have been terrorized as youngsters. They've been terrorized as adults by this Pennywise the clown that takes all these shapes and forms, and when it shows its true form at the end of the movie in the 1990 miniseries of It, it's a fucking giant spider that looks awful. Now, the second half of this film does get slated a lot for not being as good as the first, and maybe that is true, but I don't think the second half of the movie is bad at all. I quite enjoy it. But that final scene, man, I think a lot of people do actually remember that more than anything when they're talking about the second half of the film, as how much of a huge disappointment it was. And it is in the book, so I see why the movie actually went in that direction still with the spider, but it looks terrible. It's not scary at all, and it's just this big animatronic crawling around. And yeah. Don't even get me started on It Chapter 2, man, where they put fucking Pennywise's head on it. It's even worse than the 1990 miniseries. But this is films I love, and I love the 1990 miniseries, not It Chapter 2, the most recent one we got. So yeah, I had to put the spider scene in, the big climax of It from the 1990 movie, here at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Bane's death from The Dark Knight Rises. Man, I remember I came out the cinema when I first watched this movie way back in 2012, and I said to my friend, what the fuck happened to Bane? I don't remember. And he said, no, what, neither do I. And I had to rewatch the movie on Blu-ray when it came out, and blink and you'll fucking miss it, man. I mean, Bane is built up to be this great villain, and he is. Tom Hardy does an excellent job of portraying this character. He's not quite as good as Heath Ledger's Joker, but he's a solid villain. Man, Catwoman just turns up on this bike and shoots him, and that's it. It honestly is a 1-second death. And you feel like Bane should have had much more of a better death or a bigger ending for his character after being so epic throughout this film than one good shot from Catwoman in a blink and you'll miss it moment. I still don't understand what Christopher Nolan was trying to do here. Was he trying to keep the death low key because Batman doesn't really kill people, even though it was Catwoman who killed her? I don't know what his thinking was here, but wow, it is so out of place in a fairly decent Batman film. So yeah, to put Bane's death in there at number 4, just so out of place.
About the whole no guns thing, I'm not sure I feel as strongly about it as you do.
Number 3 is going to be the ending of Friday the 13th, the original. Now, wow, I mean, talk about bittersweet. This is basically Alice, I think her name is, who's just floating on the boat there after killing Pamela Voorhees and all the big nightmare being over, after Pamela telling her about Jason, and she's just floating on the boat, it's all over, and then Jason pops up out of the water and drags her underneath from the boat into the lake, the Camp Crystal Lake. And you're just thinking, wow, what the fuck just happened there, man? It's one of the best jump scares in horror history. I remember I first seen it and went, fuck me! And the movie should have just ended right there. Perfect ending to a fairly decent horror 80s slasher. But no, it's all a big dream, and Alice wakes up in the hospital and the police are saying, we didn't find any boy. So was she dreaming it? And she just goes, he's still there. It's a pathetic ending. I mean, it should have just ended with Jason pulling her into the boat. Less is more. But no, it was all a dream, and Alice is still alive, and yeah, bullshit really. Why did the director, Sean S. Cunningham, and his crew not take that final scene out and just leave it as Jason pulling her in? I will never know. But it can't be undone now. So that is number 3. Number 2 is going to be a little bit of a cheat for me because I'm talking about the last 20 to 25 minutes of the movie Goodfellas. It's not just a scene, it's the whole wrap up of the movie, if you like. Now, Martin Scorsese directs this movie brilliantly, and it carries a certain charm and charisma all the way through until this point, I feel. Now, it's kind of hard for me to explain why I don't like this, but hear me out. And I kind of don't know if Martin Scorsese intended this. I think he did, but for me, it just doesn't really work with the rest of the movie. So it's basically just Ray Liotta has, you know, got a little bit of a drug addiction now, and he's talking about a helicopter following him everywhere he goes and cooking some tomato sauce, and he's just in a rush everywhere he's going and stuff, and it is the beginning of the downfall of Henry Hill. Now, why I don't like this is because it does sort of lose its charm and the charisma I was talking about there in these moments. And why I think Martin Scorsese may have intended this is because it is the downfall, and the movie is meant to feel bright and, you know, still have that fun vibe going for it. It's because Henry Hill is, the end is coming for him, so it's not meant to feel that way. However, there are scenes in the movie, like where Joe Pesci is killed and stuff, where it's very, very depressing, but right after that, the charm of the movie carries on. But here, it just loses it for me, and it stops Goodfellas being a 10 out of 10 movie, and it's more of a 9.5 for me. I just wish Martin Scorsese would have kept the whole vibe he had, the perfect balance, all the way through the movie in this last 25 minutes. But for me, it just feels very, very depressing every time I watch it. And I've seen this movie a lot now, and it never quite clicks with me, or, you know, feels fitting for the rest of the film. So number 2 is the last 20 to 25 minutes of Goodfellas. Number 1, though, is going to be a little bit like the Friday the 13th bittersweet moment I was talking about there, with the final scene of Joker. I remember walking out the cinema here just amazed at what I'd seen, but there was a little bit of frustration in the back of my head there that was really grating on me. I knew I'd seen a very damn near masterpiece, but like I said, sometimes less is more. Why they feel the need to throw this scene in at the end of the movie is beyond me, because Arthur Fleck is a nobody in this film. No one even notices him. He's left on the sidewalk without anyone giving him a care in the world, and his arc has come to a massive curveball for all the wrong reasons, obviously, but that's what the Joker character is about. He kills Robert De Niro, and he suddenly gained all these followers, the guys running around in all these clown masks and stuff, and they break him out of the, is it the ambulance or something, or the police car, sorry, and they propel him up onto that car, and he just opens his arms, and he is now this leader, basically, of all these people, and he is a someone. And to take all that away, the brilliant directing, the brilliant climax of his story arc, and to put him in a mental asylum and take all that away from him, just had me scratching my head. I mean, the movie should have just ended with him on the car with his arms out. I remember actually that moment in the cinema where I thought it was going to end, and I was like, man, this fucking movie is brilliant, 10 out of 10. Wow, what an ending this is. And then that happened, and I was just like, why the fuck did you throw that scene in? It really did frustrate me. So my number 1, it stops it being a 10 out of 10 movie, is the final scene of Joker. Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I thought it was a little fun one to do. What did you think of my picks? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you a fan of the library scene in 7? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try and get back to you all, I promise. If you want to leave your top 10 or even top 5 scenes that you hate in movies you love, that would be great as well. I would love to hear some opinions on this, because I just think it's a fun little topic. If you want more top 10s, they'll be in the link down below as well. And don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like. It would really help me out on this channel. Thanks so much, guys. Take it all easy, and I'll see you on the next video.